The romanticized era of the side hustle is not just fading, it is effectively dead. For the past decade, we were sold a dream of the gig economy, a frictionless world where you can turn on an app, trade an hour for $20, and call yourself an entrepreneur. But as we navigate the economic realities of 2026, that dream has soured. From the massive 30,000 people laid off at Oracle, the 12,000 person cull at Google, to the rolling efficiency layoffs at Amazon and Meta, the message from big tech is clear. The era of bloated, safe employment is over. However, the answer isn't to run towards the gig economy. It's to build a fortress. The problem with a side hustle or a gig is the name itself. A hustle implies something temporary, frantic, secondary. A gig implies you are a cog in someone else's machine. Someone else who owns the data, the customer, and the profit margin. In an economy where AI is now performing the quick tasks that used to sustain freelancers, like basic copywriting, entry-level coding, and admin work, being a hustler means competing with a machine that doesn't sleep, doesn't get sick, doesn't ask for time off, and works for literally pennies. So, if you've been caught in the recent wave of tech trims, you have a choice. Or even if you've just been laid off, because a lot of people are, because this world is volatile at the moment, you can try to replicate your old salary by stacking 3 different gigs. Or you can take those same skills and wrap them in a structured integrity of a business. The difference isn't just semantics, it's about economic identity. The gig worker waits for a notification. They are a commodity. The business owner creates a system. They own the brand, the client relationship, and the intellectual property. Massive difference. The tech giants didn't just over-recruit, they prestige hired to look big for the market. Now that the market demands lean efficiency, they're shedding human capital. As an individual, you must adopt the same mindset. Build for efficiency, not for activity. You can still use the principles of the gig economy, which is flexibility, remote delivery, low overhead, but you must treat it like a 1950s storefront. Stop trading time. Start selling results. A gig worker bills by the hour. A business sells a productized service. So don't be a freelance designer. Be a brand identity system for AI startups. It's just a fancy pants way of saying it. You must also formalize immediately. In 2026, the tax advantages and legal protections of a formal business entity, like an LLC or limited, depending where you live and depending where your passport says you are. These are the first line of defense. It signals to high-value clients that you're a peer, a fellow business person, and not just a hobbyist who's just sort of scratching around for crumbs. The next thing you must do is own the stack. Don't rely on a platform like Upwork, Uber, Lyft, Fiverr, YouTube to feed you all the time. If they change their algorithm, your hustle vanishes. A business owns its email list, its website, and its reputation. You don't wait for a notification. You outreach to prospective clients. You feed them information that they say, that is what I've been looking for. That's what I want. That's what I need. That's what I desire. And you charge them accordingly because you will be giving them a result. You're not going to give them an hour of your time or 2 hours of your time or 5 hours. You're going to say, here is an article, here is a piece of artwork, here is a website, here is an app, here is whatever, here is the result of my endeavor. If it's taken you 5 minutes to do, it doesn't matter. If it's taken you 50 hours to do, it doesn't matter. They want the result. That's what they're paying for, and that's what you build them for. This is the path to financial independence. So those tens of thousands of workers laid off in the first quarter of 2026 alone are the new pioneer class. They've got skills, but they lack the structure. True financial independence doesn't come from a paycheck. It comes from owning equity. Every hour you spend on a gig, you build someone else's company. Every hour you spend on your business, you build an asset you can eventually automate, scale, or sell. The side hustle was a distraction. The business is the destination. In this economy, if you aren't building your own table, you're just waiting for someone else to take away your chair. If this resonates with you and you're starting to think to yourself, hang on, this is what I need to do now. I'm not going to be feeding someone else's family for the rest of their lives. I've got to feed mine. I come first, not someone else's family. Please subscribe, turn on notifications, and there's more of this where this came from. I'm not going to leave you high and dry, but this is a wake-up call. Please listen to this.